What's going on, everybody? It's me, Joel Simmons, back again for another It Starts With Me. As you can tell, this is a different setup. I have the guest here because we're actually live and together. This is pretty amazing. So this is a pre-recording, I should say that, but I have Cecilia Rendón with me. But before I tell you a little more about her, let me go ahead and take care of a few things. So we're here every single Wednesday, 12:30 with the It Starts With Me, where we get an opportunity to learn stories like you'll learn from today that help to remind people that if you're making any type of changes inside of your life, that it really and truly does start with the inner person. And from that inner person, you have the ability to change the trajectory of your life. And that's what we intend to explore every time you see us. So remember, tune in on YouTube, as well as where you can catch podcasts like Google, Spotify, Apple, and Anchor. All right. Now on Fridays, every Friday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, you're going to be able to catch me and my co-host, Michael Seville, in the Community Beacon. And there, it's all about being a light for those that are seeking information to become more free and to have a more liberated mindset. In that show, we like to give tips about how you can change the platform that you're on or even shift your paradigm. It's all about you in Community Beacon. And for us, it's about giving the lessons that we've learned and the lessons that others have learned that we may be able to share to help benefit both you and us to be able to change and become the greatest person that we possibly can be. Now, on Mondays, getting back there to the beginning of the week, Michael Seville has his own show. And on that show, Motivational Nights with Mike, you're going to have the opportunity of hearing him speak about some really, really powerful things. He keeps the show for about 15 minutes. And in that time, he's going to give you some different tips and things like that about real estate and how he's a business mogul and how he has all of these different things. Mike is so smart. He's got something good for you. So please look out for that. Remember now, please like, subscribe, follow, hit that buzzer so you know anytime we get ready to start a new show and you can tune in. Thanks. All right. So we have Cecilia Rendón with us. She is originally from Ecuador, South America. She is currently a life coach and an NLP trainer. That means neuro-linguistic programmer or programming trainer. She loves to study. She loves knowledge. She is a searcher of truth, which, by the way, I'm a searcher of truth as well.
That's why we're together here.
That's why we're together here. And she believes in being non-judgmental, which I believe in being non-judgmental as well. She's open to learn other people's perspective. And in learning other people's perspective, she gains freedom, liberty. So I'm already loving this. Let's get right into this. Thank you so much for being on It Starts With Me show.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's very nice to be here.
That's awesome. And I thank you for bringing me into your home so we could take this thing live.
Oh, mi casa, su casa.
And I do understand that. My wife, she's Cuban.
Oh, great.
So I know a little bit of Spanish here and there.
Very good. Very good.
But I know that you said my house is your house.
Yes, that's it.
So, or my home is your home. Which one is it?
My heart is your heart.
Oh,
Which is the same
wow.
thing,
I love it.
Your heart is at your home.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So how has your week been going?
It's been okay. It's been quite a challenge. As I was telling you before we started, I lost my best friend. And it's been very, very painful. But as I understand life, this pain brings a lot of breakthroughs and an invitation to see life in a different perspective. And after I lost my best friend, almost my sister, which I consider my sister, I have been left with the feeling that there's more to life. That there is. I really have to do stuff like this kind of stuff. I like to share what I know, what I have collected throughout my trajectory as a professional and also as a person to share with people, my experiences, so that they can use it as tools to become a better person and to have a little bit easier lives. And so this is the legacy that my friend has left for me. You got to live life. You got to do it now, because you never know if you're going to be here tomorrow. So even if you're young, you never know, especially in these times. You never know what's going to happen next minute. So you out there, make sure every minute counts in your life, and make sure you share the best of you with everybody that you love and with others.
That's powerful, and it makes me think about, because I know that you're a life coach and I know you're giving out these life lessons. I mean, just like me, and we're here giving these lessons to people. Sometimes people don't realize that we sometimes are going through the exact same things.
Yeah.
It's all about the lessons that we've learned that help us to really shift our gears and to change our mindset. How was that for you, though? First of all, my condolences.
Thank you.
Again, my
Thank you.
condolences, because there's a scripture that says that a friend sometimes sticks closer than a brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and it really is because of that. It's because a friend chooses to love you,
Mm-hmm. Yes.
no matter what.
Right.
Whereas in a brother or a sister or a family member, it's almost like because there's a blood relation, they have to.
Right.
So it's not to say that it's not as genuine.
No.
But when a friend decides that they're going to be with you until whenever, if you will, come hell or high water, it's an old saying, then at that point in time, it's just like, wow.
Yes, it's very, very painful. Like I was telling you, just a few weeks ago, she was here singing with me at the karaoke, and we were having fun, and we had so many plans together, because she also was a very spiritual person, and she was a very famous journalist. And we had the plan to do it together. We're going to go out there in the world, and we're going to give this message, give this hope to people. Make them, remind them their own power, their own, the spirit which they are, the light that they are. And we had all these plans, and all of a sudden, she's gone. And so it's very hard to take it. But I also know that in my humanness is always going to miss her, and it feels the pain and the sadness. But my spirit knows that we are not this body, that our spirit is eternal, and that we're always going to be in contact. And if she ever needs me, or if I ever need her, we will be communicated. So that is something that we learned together before, with so many studies, so many paths that we went together. And I know that her energy is around here right now, because we're talking about her, and she feels the love. And I know in my heart that she's available. So death is really painful in my humanness. But when you go a little higher than that, when you go in the spiritual realm, you know that we are forever. We're always here.
Again, that's powerful. And I think that that's an important thing to speak about, especially on the level of like spirituality and exactly who we are as spiritual beings. One of the things that makes it so difficult for people to accept, that somebody is dying, is because they feel as if it is closure.
Right.
When you have this perspective, this feeling, this humbleness inside of your heart that there is more beyond that, I believe that it can give you some sort of peace in the midst of a storm that honestly cannot really cease. Because if the storm is the loss of a loved one, and they're gone, then how does the storm ever cease?
Right. But there is a part of us that does not respond because we have a program installed in our minds that that death is the end. So our humanness, our human part that responds to this dimension, to this society and structure, we always going to, when I have a dinner, her chair is going to be empty. When I have a karaoke, I'm going to miss her to sing together with. And, so in my human part, the pain is always going to be there. But we're not only that. We're not only human. We are meta-human. We are spirit. So in our souls, we know we're more than that. So it just depends on where do you want to focus. The pain, I think the pain of losing somebody that you love remains forever in your life. But it can be transformational, or it can be just in a victim state. Why did she have to go? Why does God do this to me? Why did she leave me, and all these things? But in our spirit, when we want to focus on that, we know that we're more than that we're free, that we're eternal, that she's always with us. The hard part is to align both. To know that in your body you feel the pain, you'll miss her, and to understand in a spiritual dimension that she's with you. So until you become sort of balanced between one and the other, I think it's a process.
I 100% agree, and I think that because of my travel spiritually, I reached a certain level of understanding that the individual in front of me is a whole lot more than the body that I see.
Yes.
The body is only a fraction, just like you said. There's really 4 parts to every quote unquote human being. You have the body, you have the mind, you have the spirit, you have the soul.
Right.
And when you break those down, and if the body were to be removed, then you still have the spirit, you still have the soul, you still have the mind. And the thing about it is, like, what makes an individual so much different from anyone else? Well, if the soul is the life form, then a soul is a soul is a soul is a soul. But what makes the difference between the soul? Well, it's the mindset and the spirit of the individual that really creates that type of karaoke-ish atmosphere, or that atmosphere that says, hey, I can't wait to see them and sit down at the table with them, because when they laugh, it makes me laugh. When they cry, it makes me cry. When they do, it makes me want to do. I love this. But when it comes down to the body, that's really the piece I feel like so many people fall in love with the body, but the body is the part that wears away the most. It is the vessel.
Yes. But see, the thing is, the way I like to explain it is that we are all divine in all our dimensions or aspects. Our mind is divine when we focus on divinity. Our body is divine when we move in love, when we act in love. And of course, spirit is divine because it is itself is love. And our soul is also part. So all of our aspects are divine according to the way you identify them. See, if you identify just with your body, then you do yoga and you do all kinds of exercise and develop muscles, and you're more into the form, the shape of the way you look. And that is wonderful, because the body should be honored and should be nurtured and worked on, because it is the one that holds your spirit so that you can have a healthy, pleasant experience. Your spirit can, since your spirit inhabits your body, it needs a beautiful, nice, nurtured body to experience, to touch, to smell, to walk, to do things. So our body is also divine. the problem is to put it even, to set priorities. You cannot identify just as a body. You cannot identify just with your emotions, because you're not your emotions. You're not your body. You are the one that inhabits your body, and you are the one that creates the emotions so that your spirit tastes the polarity of this dimension. Here in this earth, we have polarities. We have light and dark. We have high and low. We have sadness and happiness. And that's what spirit wants to taste. So it is all good with balance. We cannot identify just with, oh, I am the sensitive one. I am the empath. And so I feel everything. Good, you feel. But that's not who you are. That's not who you are. You create those thoughts. You create those emotions. And you live in that body, but that's not who you are. And that helps when you can see this body, and this body feeling the emotions, and this mind creating all these thoughts, but you are not there. You can see this happening, but you're not. So your identity, I would say, if you identify with the real self that you are, with the light that you are, with the love that you are, and this that is happening, these are all experiences that you can see moving through. It's like seeing a movie, but you see the movie, you enjoy it, you like it, or you feel sad or something, but you're not the movie. You're not in the movie. So, but all of our aspects are divine.
I would definitely agree with that. From a biblical standpoint, even when the body was created, it was created in a divine manner.
Yes.
And it was divinely given for the purpose of what it does. And I love that, because to take away from, there's a takeaway, and I enjoy the way that you explain that takeaway, because some have found themselves giving so much priority to the body.
Yeah.
Wherein, as you said, to cultivate your body, to be able to be like a house, people, if you keep your house well, it is a sign that you're keeping you're keeping your family well.
Right.
You're keeping those that are inside, because what does the household encapsulate? It encapsulates you. And you mentioned earlier on in this, you said mikasa sukasa, and I said, is it my house, your house, or my home, your home? And then you said, my heart, your heart. And so we just went through 3 different levels of thought process. We went from a natural level, then we went into more of a mindset, and then we went into a spiritual or an emotional touching point.
Right.
And I thought that was brilliant, because this is the way that you climb that spiritual ladder to get to exactly the mindset that you're referring to. I believe that the more of us that understand this type of thing, the more of us have the ability to deal with devastation.
Yeah. I actually, throughout my work with people, and see their pain and their desperation for finding a solution, or for finding an internal state that is more pleasant and more comfortable, I developed this ebook, which is exactly what we're talking about. See, everything, or I don't want to generalize, not everything, but most things can be put into these dimensions. The mental dimension will respond to time and space, structure and programming. The way your mind is set to do, to think, to feel. Then it comes the emotional dimension, where you perceive the situation. Let's put an example so that it's more understandable. Let's say that you have a boyfriend, okay, and this boyfriend leaves. So they're breaking up. This couple is breaking up. So she or he is devastated. So you can see it from different dimensions. The first dimension is in the humanness. in your first, most basic dimension, you say, I'm going to miss him. I am going to, oh, he's so mean. He did this to me. And then you feel like a victim and he's a bad guy. And then you feel sad and then you're angry and goes through all these kinds of, all these kind of states. Then you say, okay, he's not here anymore. In the physical, we are breaking up. That responds to the society structure. Before we were together, now we're separated. And that implies a lot of things. I'm not going to see him anymore, or if we're living together, how am I going to pay the rent? And so all about this life. Then the emotional realm and the emotional dimension would say, okay, I'm just going to do my life and I'm going to be over this pretty soon. But at night you're crying because you miss him. Oh, but he was so good. Yeah, but he's so mean. And then you go up and down in these emotions. But the reason why this is happening is because you chose him. Out of all the people in the world, you chose him to have this relationship. So going in a different dimension, you go in the energetic dimension. You say, okay, I tapped into him because we had so many things in common. So energetically, we attract the same frequency. People that vibrate in the same frequency that we do. We say, oh, but we're completely different. But if you look and you dig a little bit, you will realize that you're together because you need to learn from each other the lessons that each other can give you. And then in the spiritual dimension, you say, he's my master because he's teaching me how to deal with this, and that in my life. So if you try to put the challenge or the problem or the difficult experience going through these steps or dimensions, then you can understand why you are going through this process. And the reason why you're going is always good. It's always good. So once you know what is the wonderful thing about being so sad, then you squeeze out of the sadness, a little bit of gold. You say, this is why I had to go through this. And these are the steps that I develop in order to help people, understand, because understanding why you go through, you step out of the victimization state, which is very bad. So, and then you empower yourself and say, okay, I am part responsible for this. And I am part responsible because my spirit needed to learn this. In order to learn this, I had to go through this. And then, okay, now it makes sense. At least it makes sense. And the most, I have this opportunity. So it can transform me and make me a better person, or, understand life in a way that it make me more powerful or happier.
I love that. And you said it so well. While you were saying about how you can squeeze the gold out, I was thinking, and then you actually mentioned it, but I think it was Romans 8:28, all things work together for good.
Yes.
And it's just these are these powerful lessons that we have. And when we actually use them and trust in those things and groom ourselves to it, then we can actually start looking for the good.
Yes.
There's another scripture where where we learn about some of the other things that you were discussing, as far as it goes about balance. An unjust balance is an abomination before the Lord. Well, I mean, when that transcends reality, it just goes beyond that. It's okay, well, I don't believe in the Lord like you believe in the Lord. Well, hold on for one moment. It's well, listen, if that's the case, does not balance bring about good things for you? And it's okay, so tell me something. If you don't believe in it that way and you want to lift weights, if you go and do bench press, do you put 50 on this side and 150 on this side? Or Or do you want to be balanced out so that you develop both sides of your chest alike? And so it's like, that is a part of life that as we're going through it, if we can start to learn that, then we can learn that the person that we fell in love with, but that we grew apart from, that if we were to look deep enough, if we desired enough to understand the reason why we've grown apart, then maybe we might just realize why we should still be together, because there could be that development there that helps us to be the better us.
Yes, it's a painful, sometimes it's a very curvy way, but being humans, we don't always pick to be balanced.
Yes.
Sometimes life has to put us in a way that, okay, you're going only to this side, and so you're putting all the way there until you go so low and so deep that it's so painful, and then slowly you have to bring yourself up, because life always gives you, or God always gives you, the opportunity to be balanced, but we don't learn that way. Unfortunately, we don't learn that way. It would be nice if we did. It would be wonderful because we would not suffer, but we learn in a way that sometimes the pain is needed to kind of straighten the wheel.
So what I just took from that, and I definitely want everyone to catch this, because that was a powerful statement. When we learn from other people's experience and from other people's errors or from their successes, when we take the time to investigate those things and see how that really hits us, we don't have to suffer as much or as heavy. It doesn't mean that we won't suffer, because that's like a part of life.
Yes.
But it does mean that we have the opportunity to have joy in the midst of it,
Yes.
relief.
Right.
That maybe it won't last long. Some people suffer for a decades.
Right.
But you may be able to go through it in a week.
Yes. Well, but like I say, everybody chooses consciously or unconsciously.
Yes, that's right.
To go through this period or that period. And that is right, because it is right for everybody. Sometimes we don't have the same rhythm of somebody else, and they go faster, and we wish we did, but we have to go slowlier, because that's the way we learn. And sometimes that rhythm is exactly what we need. If we learn it faster, we might not get all the lessons between, but there are no accidents.
There are no accidents.
Yes.
Presence, clarity, being lucidly clear with understanding of what is happening now and the significance of what is happening now and the importance behind what is happening now, right, as in developing your mindset. So even in that, would you say that if I am to develop my mindset, develop my body, develop my spirit, develop my soul, all in accordance, then maybe at that point in time, because I have not put too much to the left, too much to the right, too much forward, too much backwards, that maybe I can progress a little bit faster through a suffering, because I have complete balance and I truly understand what's going on, versus if I only develop my body or only develop my mind, but my body isn't ready, then when I go through it, even though I understand it, I still feel pain.
Right. See, the thing is that we come to this kind of life, we come to Earth to experience what Earth has for us. And Earth has rhythms. The sun comes out and it goes in. The tides go in and then they come out. So we come to this polarity to taste, to taste happiness and to taste sadness, because through that we learn. Okay. And that is the characteristic of this dimension, of this third dimension. And we came to do that. So yes, if we could identify if we could identify with the being, the true being that we are, because we are a spark of God. And by being, we're perfect. By being a spark of God, we have the potential to be perfect, healthy, wise, and all the good that God is. But when we come here, we forget, and then we become human. And we identify with being human and don't go farther than that. And when we limit ourselves by being human, then we're always going to be in pain. We're always going to suffer. We're always going to have ups and downs. But when we identify with the spark of God, the perfect being that we are, and the absolute happiness, we can go through the experiences of suffering, but we do not remain there. Because, see, we have to remind ourselves, but this is not me. I came here to taste this. Like you go to Japan to taste sushi and to taste sake, but you're not going to stay there. It's only going to be temporary. While you're being there, you enjoy these things that are new to you, even the ones that are painful. Like, for example, if women go to Japan and they have to walk behind their man because that's the culture. So it would be painful for some women. No, I don't want to. But if you're going to be here for 2 weeks, okay, that doesn't matter. I just walk behind. It's not going to take anything from me, right? You go back home and you walk in front if you want to, okay? So we're here to taste that, and then even to have the hard times that we have here, but you don't identify with that. And see, that's where we fail. We fail to identify with the truth that we are. We are perfect. We are in God, and by being in God, we have and we are everything good. But we lose that. We lose the knowledge of that knowing, and then just identify with the humanness and this scarcity and the pain and the anger and all these things. So it is a constant come and go, to the center for some people who are fortunate to know the center, the truth. Some remain here, in the human world, only in the selfishness and the painful and the envy and the anger and all that. But it is always your choice.
I love it. And you ended with the word that I was thinking of, because you mentioned that earlier, choice. And choice is acceptance,
Yeah.
And whether you use choice or the action of non-choice, it is still an acceptance of some type of reality. And making truth your reality should be something that we all desire to do. But I know that the reality of it is that we all don't desire to do that. As you were mentioning about identifying, I find that is really powerful, because so often as humans, many of us identify with things that are temporal.
Right.
They're not going to last. They weren't meant to last.
Right.
They're built and designed by some creature, some being, some person. It was meant to be for a season. And when that season is up, it will be up. But sometimes we take those temporal things and we ingrain it inside of our psyche and our spirit, and it becomes us. As it becomes us, it takes away from the divinity that was inside of us.
Well, but
that balance going back and forth is what I'm getting at.
Right.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Well, I would say that I just wanted to add that I believe that there is nothing that could take our divinity away, because we are divine. Nobody can take the spark of light of God that we are. It doesn't matter what we do. It might be covered, disguised by the pain or the darkness or whatever, but we never stop being the light of God. Never. And that's a reminder for people that have been in such low experiences, that they feel that they don't deserve, that God is so separated from them. They should know that you are never separated from God, because you are part of God. And there is no way, I mean, yes, darkness and sins mentally separate you. The pain that to aggravate the love of God that you are, it causes you to think that you're separated and that God is farther from you. But that is a lie. You're always with God. God is always with you.
I love that. And, to further expound on what I was getting at, because I agree that God's love is always for us. I definitely agree with that. I believe that there is occasions when the things that we do,
Yeah.
we put ourselves in a place where we separate ourselves from that love.
Yes.
And that's exactly what I was referring to. I would think of it kind of like when a child does something that disappoints their father, then they choose not to go in front of their father,
Right.
because they think that they've disappointed him. My children, perfect in my eyesight. Do they do wrong sometimes? Absolutely. Have I done wrong before my Father God? Absolutely. The one thing that I've gained inside of my own life is that, like David, I will always go back to the Lord, because that is my help. It's my strength. It's my covering. It's my everything. So I understand that he will never take his love from me. So it's almost like I challenge my Father to never let go of me. By no matter what, I will always go back. There's many that may not believe like that. I've spoken with people, and they say, "Oh, I don't want to go to church with you." I say, "Well, why not?" You say, "Well, because if I show up, the place will burn down."
Yeah.
Have you ever heard that?
Yes.
It's like, well, no, the place isn't going to burn down. I'm just waiting for you. When I show back up, 20 years ago or whatever it was, the place definitely should have burned down. I was no kind of saint at all. You know what I mean?
Well, one option is you don't have to get to church necessarily. First, you can just stay home and be with God, and remind yourself that God is always there with you, and that it doesn't matter what you've done, the love that God feels for you will never cease. So maybe just being wherever you are, you just feel love around you. You feel God around you, and then maybe when you feel strong enough or good enough, then you can go to church. But there are ways to get to God. There are not just one place to be with God. So if you're not ready to go to church, that's okay, but be with God. Remind yourself that love is there for you, completely accessible to you. You just gotta say a prayer or close your eyes and just say, "I want to feel your love," and you will. You will dissipate all darkness, and you'll be better. You will feel better.
I love what you're saying. I do disagree with a part of that, because I search out the scriptures, and that's kind of where where my belief is from, and I resonate there. There's a scripture that teaches us to forsake not the assembling of ourselves together, and then there's another scripture that teaches us that the church is actually the baptized believers of Christ, and so there is this thing where God is actually creating this separation, this divine separation, for people to understand this is how I would desire people to be, but by choice, and not by causality, not by the strong hand of God, but this is the way that he moved. Because even from the very beginning of time, when he set up his order, he called on one man, and then that one man had to bring the people and show the people exactly how to serve him. And then that was Old Testament days, is what many would say. But then in the New Testament days, when Jesus appeared, he came and he did like the same thing. He collected the people, but he corrected what was wrong. And the thing that he had corrected was that many were abusive in the nature of not giving mercy, and that they caused people to feel as if they were separated because of the things that they had done wrong, when truly the Spirit was always willing to give mercy upon mercy upon mercy upon mercy upon mercy forever.
Yeah.
And so much saying that when Peter looked at Jesus, he said, hey, how many times should I forgive my brother? He said 7 times. And Jesus looked at him and said, no, 7 times 70 in a day. So what are you saying? 490 times? Yeah, more than you can ever think about, because that's how many times your Father has forgiven you. So get up and be good, you know? So that's where I kind of resonate. I see you can feel my passion is kind of like bubbling up. So I'll simmer down, you know.
It's okay, good, great. So I believe that really, I mean, simply put, if you identify with the love that you are, and with the source that brings all kinds of good, you know, even in the darkest of day of your life, you can always feel in your heart. And if you don't feel it, you create it by visualizing a sun of white light between your abdomen and your heart, and then you know that that's the being, that energy of God that you are, will start expanding and expanding and expanding until it grows, because it's always been there, always is, and always will be there. And all you got to do is just close your eyes and visualize a sun of white light, the love of God, the source of good, and then just allow that energy to move through you, to flow through you, and it's magical.
Well said. Well said. And I want to take that note, and we're going to end on that note. We're going to close on out, because that is beautifully said. And I'm hoping that all of you out there were able to gain from that, because we are never as far away as we thought we were. But when we begin that type of visualization, we become closer and closer and closer and closer. And then we realize it's not that we've gotten closer, right?
Right.
It's that it's always been there.
Yeah, always there, always will.
How can people get in contact with you to take on some of your life coaching and your inspiration?
Well, thank you. It would be, you can DM me at my Instagram, Cecilia Rendón Coach, and I'm here.
Beautiful. Is there anything that you would like to close out, a final word?
Just be happy. Feel the light in you, and nurture that light every day. Even if it was just 3 deep breaths, closing your eyes and feel it's there. It would do magical things in your life.
I'd love to say that Cecilia Rendón has done an amazing job in giving us different tips and things that are very simple that will absolutely change your life. Please take the time to DM her, and please take the time, if you'd like to get in contact with her and you're unsure about how, contact us here at the Tenacity Foundation, or, it starts with me, and we will make sure that we get in touch with you. Cecilia, I'm so glad to have you with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Joel.
For everybody out there, as much as it starts with you, remember, it starts with me. Peace.